1. Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, taking care of business on Canada's podcast network. Joining me today is Milena Radakovic, who is president of Nexus Exhibits in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today, Milena.
Thanks for having me, Mario.
Well, we're going to start off by chatting about an honor you just received. You were named one of the Canada's most powerful women, top entrepreneurs in the country. And that was by the Women's Executive Network. Tell me a little bit about winning that award and what it meant to you.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was just announced like 2 days ago, and it's such a big honor because it's an award for the category of change makers. So it's for the impact that my foundation, We Do Canada, as a charity has done. So unlike an entrepreneurial award, it's for the charity that I started when I got appointed as Canada ambassador to We Do, which is a global movement to empower the next generation of female entrepreneurs. And with that honor, I created a charity called We Do Canada Foundation, where our mission is and goal is we want to give away $1 million worth of scholarships to aspiring female entrepreneurs. And we want to proclaim November 19th as Women Entrepreneurship Day.
All right, tell me a little bit about the organization. What is it? First of all, the letters, what do they stand for?
So We Do, I know a lot of people say we can do it, but it actually stands for Women Entrepreneurship Day Organization. So the organization got started in 2012 by Wendy Diamond. She is a philanthropist who went on a mission in South America. And it was a mission to give microloans to small businesses, women businesses. And she realized by giving these small microloans to a woman business that woman will then hire another woman and give back. So she will hire a woman in the community, she will hire her cousins, her mothers, other women, and what kind of an impact that small microloan can do. And so she wanted to do the same thing for other countries. And in Canada, unfortunately, microloans don't work that well. So the impact that we chose is to give scholarships to the next generation of female entrepreneurs.
So tell me where this passion of yours for this entrepreneurship and specifically for female entrepreneurs, where did that come from?
It probably started at the beginning. My parents were an inspiration to me. We immigrated out of Belarus when I was a very young girl. We came here in 1979 during the Cold War. So there was a lot of personal hurdles that I went through, even being an immigrant here and coming from a communist country at the time. I was bullied a lot. I was called names, a Ruski, a commie. And my father always said, persevere through that. That's going to make you stronger. And then through my career as a woman, I had a lot of hurdles through my career. My father always said, work hard, don't show emotion, and you will succeed. And I remember at a young age in my early 20s, I was a marketing manager for a small oil field service company in Red Deer. And it was a very emotional, hard time because I was the only woman in that organization at a mid-management. And I was belittled at the board, like at the table when we would have managers meetings. I was picked on a lot. And I said, I never, ever want to have another woman go through what I did. And through my career, it was very hard. There was a lot of biases, a lot of bullying for women leaders, not only for me personally, but I would see. So I got involved in various women organizations. Throughout my career, I was on the board of OWIT, Organization of Women International Trade. where I got the opportunity to speak to other women and international trade, to support each other, to stand together. And then I got appointed to chair and start the Women in Leadership Foundation here in Calgary in 2012, where I could then help and advance women in their careers. And then when I became an entrepreneur, I said, I want to help other women entrepreneurs, because I found that we were a small community. We weren't quite united. There wasn't a lot of other women entrepreneurs that I could speak to. So when I got appointed to be an ambassador for other women entrepreneurs, I said, we need to make an impact. We need to help the next generation so they don't go through the same hurdles, the same biases that me and other women entrepreneurs went through.
Tell me a little bit, first of all, before I forget, about what Nexus Exhibits is. What do you do there?
So I was very lucky. I had used Nexus Exhibits through my corporate world for trade shows. And when I joined, I fell in love with it and asked for first right of refusal. So I acquired the company in 2013. And now I've grown the company to be a one-stop shop for all visual branding needs. So we design and produce trade show exhibits, we manage them, we ship them, we set them up for our clients all over the world. We now do events as well. So we do branding of the events, from managers meeting to stampede parties, to now we also do environments. So we do interior decor, so branding corporate environments. So not just like logo over the reception area, but to help our clients communicate their core values, their mission statements in their lunchrooms, in their boardrooms. And then we do the essentials, so branded apparel, branded brochures, everything to do with your brand, we take care of it.
Tell me a little bit about I guess the rest of your career. Like, did you have any other entrepreneurial ventures?
So before joining Nexus, I had actually started a small consulting firm where I was helping other small and medium-sized companies with their marketing initiatives. So one of the things that I did throughout my career is I really embraced the knowledge. So I worked in oil and gas, I worked in energy, I worked in the tech. And I noticed that small and medium-sized companies could really use marketing expertise, but couldn't necessarily afford it. So that's what I did. I would create strategies for small and medium-sized companies who could then go and then hire like a marketing manager who could then implement that. And as I grew, I ended up starting doing marketing plans, and we did project management, and then we started doing communications and so forth. But then had a little bit of a crash in 2010 in Calgary, a small little recession. And my husband also had his own construction firm. He was an interior decor. So I had two daughters, a living nanny, and then one of us had to get a job. So that's how I joined Nexus. And then I was fortunate enough to take the knowledge and experience that I had in my consulting firms, as well as my corporate, to make some changes. And that's why we became a one-stop shop.
What would you say has been the toughest thing for you as a woman in the world of business?
I would say probably a lot of the biases. I mean, if you look at even just financing, like in the banking world, in the VC world, I mean, only 32% of women will get the financing that they need, unlike a man who's going to be starting his business. And I mean, that's the biases that's out there. And it's a scary thing, because women are more realistic when it comes to their financing. So for instance, when a woman does, and this is statistics, this isn't me just saying it, when a woman does a business plan and she shows the financing, she's quite conservative. When a man does it, they are usually at a minimum 10 to 20% projections higher when they're asking for financing than a woman. And for payback, 95% of the women pay back their loans.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a very high number.
Yeah. So tell me, when you look at, and I know it's tough to generalize, but what would you say are some of the key differences that perhaps a woman brings to the table as an entrepreneur that are different, say, than men?
I think through my experience and through speaking to other women entrepreneurs, it's the way that we run our business is a lot of it is on the cultural growth. So I'm a big believer. So in the success of a business, it starts with the culture, and that starts with the core values. So one of the things in my organization is we hire everything to our core values. So even in our interview questions, people might not know, but our interview questions have to be like, how do they answer it? Do they fit into our core values? Will they fit it into our culture? Because when we women make the commitment to bring on a team member, it's bringing into the family, bringing into the fold. We're looking not as in who's the highest achiever to give us the best revenue, who's going to be there to help us grow the company. A lot of women look at the entrepreneurial spirit of a person. So I'm very blessed that I've survived 2 recessions and a pandemic. And you can look in my industry, the events and exhibit industry got hit the hardest.
Yeah.
And I'm still standing, where I can honestly say some of my competitive counterparts that were run by men, they didn't. They just said, oh, we're just going to write it out. After, I can honestly say, after we closed down and I had the weekend to cry over a bottle of wine, I said, I'm bringing the team together. We're going to figure this out. How are we going to weather the storm? What do we need to do to support the community? Because the government announced there's going to be 3 phases. So what's phase 1? The medical professions. Okay. Well, what is it? What kind of strength do we have that we can help? We have print production. Okay, let's start doing physical distancing signage so they can put them on in the medical clinic. Let's create and fabricate hygiene guards so we can protect the patients to the doctors. So that's what we did. I went on the phone and I started calling every single supplier I knew to see, can you get me face masks? Because our community needs face masks. Can we get face shields? Dentists needed face shields. Can we get that? So I started to import that. So I started to look at how do I help the community? And not just help the community, but it wasn't all about revenue. It was like, how much do I need to survive? And that's what I need is like, I need to survive, keep the lights on, but help the community as well.
So I'm curious, throughout your career, were there any particular women out there, women entrepreneurs that you looked up to and sought guidance from, not maybe personally, but maybe by their example?
One of my dearest mentors was not an entrepreneur, but she was a very high executive at a consulting firm. And one of the things that she always said to me is, when you acquire the company, you need to be part of an organization that's going to support you. And she said, look at EO, look at WPO, look at YPO, because those are like-minded individuals who are going to support you. And I took her advice, and the first thing I did was join EO Entrepreneurs Organization. But the other thing, the person that's been very inspirational to me has been my parents and my father. My father was an architect who came here with $1,000 in his pocket, no English, and he started off with delivering pizzas so he could put food on the table. And he taught me how perseverance and hard work will make you successful. And the one thing my dad said to me, and I still say to my daughters as well, I have 2 daughters, is study hard, work harder than any man. Take on the risks, the hard tasks and jobs that nobody wants, because I know you'll succeed and you'll do them really well. And that will help you move up in your career. And that's what I always did. I always took the risks, took on the jobs and the tasks in the corporations that people wouldn't want it. And I was lucky. I studied hard. I would take on jobs that I knew nothing about, but I'm like, I got to give it a try. Come home, study, figure out how to do it. And I was lucky enough to move up in my career, and I ended my corporate career as VP of marketing. And then I went on to become an entrepreneur.
And a successful one at that. Thank you very much, Milena, for joining us today.
Well, thanks so much for having us. And the only thing I ask is, if there's a corporation that believes that the next generation of female entrepreneurs need a heads up, please, we are looking for corporate sponsors to become national partners in our scholarships. We're all volunteer based. So for us to give out the scholarships, we need the corporate sponsors for it. So please reach out to info@wedocanada.ca.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. That was Milena Radakovic, who is president of Nexus Exhibits in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, taking care of business on Canada's podcast network. Thanks for joining us today.